It's always a great day when Congressman Krishnamurthy comes to Hoffman Estates, and this time he's even bringing gifts, which we appreciate. But you don't have to bring gifts. We're always happy to see you. Congressman Krishnamurthy has done a great job of representing the village of Hoffman Estates and all the members, all the communities in his congressional district and the people there. We're also pleased to have Senator Christina Castro here. Hey. Senator Castro represents a very large portion of Hoffman Estates. We also have with us trustees Karen Mills and Gary Stanton from the village of Hoffman Estates. And we have Rebecca Dyer, the executive director of Wings, and Bruce Seawick, who's the president of SHARE. Thank you all for coming. Congressman Krishnamurthy has been very helpful to us in Hoffman Estates, and he got us a federal grant in the budget for $150,000 for the police department, which we're going to use to hire a social worker for the police department. I understand that person's already been hired, which is good. And he also brought in a lot of money for Wings. And Rebecca Dyer has been the longtime director of Wings. She's really put the organization on the map, expanded into Chicago and other areas, and is looking at going nationwide. So without any further ado, Hoffman Estates resident, Rebecca Dyer. Rebecca.
So he mentioned the congressman, who's very important, and Senator Castro, who's very important, but he forgot our police chief, who's very, very important. Kasha Kali, she's fantastic, our first female police chief in Hoffman Estates. I'm also honored to sit on the Hoffman Estates Fire and Police Commission. So I get to work very closely with our police chief and our officers on the work that we do here in Hoffman Estates. And Kasha and I got together and talked about, what we could do in Hoffman Estates, and many of the surrounding municipalities have a police social worker who supports the police officers when they're out on domestic violence calls and other calls where there's mental health issues and that sort of thing. So we were really excited that the Congressman Krishnamurthy was able to secure a nice grant. We were joking that the person's been hired, now they can actually get paid, which is always a good thing when you're doing this line of work because it's very intense. And as the executive director of Wings, very honored to be able to partner with Hoffman Estates Police Department. In the past, we were able to have counselors and interns stationed here to support the officers, and now we'll have a full-time person who can do that and provide real-time connection to services for victims of domestic violence to make sure that officers are not returning to the same house again and again. So I'm going to introduce our police chief and let her say a few words. Kasha?
So thank you all for being here and for supporting this. We're very fortunate to have Rebecca Dyer on our Fire and Police Commission and the association with Wings and the partnership with Wings. She actually called me, I think, last April and said, hey, I'm thinking about submitting a grant for a police social worker. Are you interested? And we're like, yeah, absolutely. So she did all the work. She's not giving herself enough credit, but she did all the work to get this submitted, and we really appreciate it. Like she said, we go to the same places over and over again and deal with the same issues with the same families quite frequently. Our calls for domestic violence and substance abuse and mental health have significantly increased, especially since COVID. So this is going to help us work with these families on a continual basis. And yes, a police social worker is not a new concept, but what is unique about this program is that we are working collaboratively with the Health and Human Services Department. Dr. Saavedra over there, we're working together, and then working with our partnership with Wings. So having all of us work together to streamline these services for our residents are going to greatly enhance these opportunities. So having a full-time social worker that is not only going to do crisis intervention on the scene, but also to be able to do that long-term counseling is what we're looking for. And then to be able to set them up with Wings and other partnerships is going to really, I think, help our residents here at Hoffman Estates. So thank you to everybody. Thank you to the village for supporting this, because when this money is gone, we will continue to keep the social worker on board. And thank you to the mayor for supporting this as well, and Congressman Krishnamurthy. But I just want to say thank you. Without this opportunity, we would not be able to move forward with this program. So thank you. And so without further ado, Congressman Krishnamurthy.
Good morning. Well, thank you so much for coming. This is one of those publishers' clearinghouse moments for me. This is the first year in my tenure in Congress where this is my 6th year in Congress. This is the first year we've been able to do this, which is to be able to have community-funded projects. It's wonderful to be here. Before I get started, I want to especially recognize Mayor McLeod, who's done a terrific job. Christina Castro, our state senator with whom we work very closely on a day-to-day basis. Of course, Rebecca Darr, who's just done a terrific job leading Wings and doing the Lord's work in the suburbs and in Chicagoland. Chief Cawley, welcome and congratulations on your new appointment. Of course, our good friends, Trustee Gary Stanton, who gave me a hug this morning. Maybe the most newsworthy moment of the morning. And then, of course, my good friend, Trustee Karen Mills. And I see, of course, our other dignitaries and leaders here and all of our officers who do so much work every day to keep us safe. So thank you so much to all of you as well. I want to just say, first of all, a couple words about domestic violence, just to make sure that we're all on the same page about what an important issue this is. It turns out that 1 in 4 women in America, unfortunately, suffer domestic violence. 20% of all crimes involve domestic violence, and a lot of times it escalates, unfortunately, to the point where 1 out of 2 homicides of women involve an intimate partner. 1 out of every 2. So what Rebecca and the social workers and others do every day is basically try to nip something in the bud which could escalate into something much uglier and deadlier. And so what we're doing here is presenting a community-funded project award of $150,000, and that is not a real check. So please do not take that to the bank. The check is in the mail, Mayor. But this check is going to go toward essentially helping with providing a social worker on staff who can then not only respond to those domestic violence victims, but also help to train other officers on how to handle a call if it happens. And that's so important because our officers are often our frontline responders, and they need to have the training and the knowledge to be able to respond appropriately. I think the final thing that I would just say is this, which is I hope that today does, obviously we're celebrating the grant, but we're also recognizing a problem that unfortunately doesn't get enough attention, which is domestic violence. It's a serious problem. It's actually been growing during the pandemic because a lot of intimate partners as well as spouses and others have been together in a way that we haven't seen in a long time, physically in one space, and domestic violence has grown. And so the need is growing, it's greater than ever, and so we just need to shine a light on this issue and continue to fund appropriate responses. So I'm just so pleased to be a small part of that effort, and I hope that we get to meet this social worker soon and be able to refer cases to that person on an ongoing basis, and please count on me and my office to help in any way, shape, or form. So thank you so much, and thank you all for coming today. Thank you.
Well, I think we need to thank the Congressman for his yeoman work, so thank you very much, Congressman. Also, I think at this point, why don't we do the check presentation?